What's up everybody, Smyers here. Today I want to show you how to make the bass and the lead to Raw by MPH. So that is the bass and the lead sound. The lead, I think it changes throughout the track. There's like another thing that happens to it, but this is the basic sound that I want to walk you through. And first of all, I want to open up the actual envelope here, the pitch bend envelope, because I was just playing around with the pitch because I wasn't sure exactly what the pitch was, but you hear it's just this round pluck sound, but then the pitch goes down and then it pitches up and down. So kind of interesting what I was doing with the pitch bend stuff here. I don't know like what he actually did, but I thought that this is just how that I came up with getting it to sound close to what the original was. So the actual notes though, like if we just take a look at the notes, these are the notes, and then this was the pitch bending stuff that was going on. So then in the pitch bend, I just have it going to 2 and -2. That is just the default setting. And a bit of portamento, I have it on always. I have it on the voicing on mono because it is a lead sound. So let's go ahead and just play these by itself. I have just default shapes. You go into S2 wavetables, default shapes, square wave, and then I raised up this PWM. If you go into Alt Warp, select PWM. That's how you get this warp knob to PWM. Envelope 1, I just adjusted that to be like a plucky sound, plucky envelope. And then I added on a low 24 filter. That's just for this oscillator A. You can see what my cutoff, my resonance is, my fat I raised up, and also this drive. And then I added just for some harmonics. We can see this one is an octave of +1, randomness at 0, and then this is +2. Adds a bit of like a bell-like sound. And then of course I do have this hall reverb on it, just very, very light hall reverb, and the mix is at 10%. Very quiet, but just adds a tiny bit of space in the track. And that's really it for that lead sound. And let me add on the noise, though. There is some noise in it as well, but I'm not filtering off the noise. Just really filtering off this oscillator A. So that is what I came up with for that lead. Now let's go on to the bass. Now for the bass, these are the notes that I came up with. I did a short video on this actually, and MPH commented on the video. So what I had on my video was I had like a square wave, and then my oscillator B, I had a analog BD sine, almost just like a subby sine wave. But what he said in his comment, I will read it. He said, close, it's actually just a square wave sub for the main and a triangle sub with low pass automation for the fill. So I don't know if he meant like it is a square wave sub and a triangle sub, and then low pass automation for the section where it goes like that. So let me take off the kick, or actually, let me leave this kickstart on. I like it with the kickstart. I'll take it off just as we go through this. But so I'm just automating the cutoff envelope. So I don't know if he meant like that is just the triangle wave together, or if he meant that this is just the square wave. And then this part here is a triangle wave with this automation. I think that's maybe what he meant, but I just tried to revise this, and I wasn't really sure though, like how to get a triangle wave to sound like the bass in his track, because I extracted the bass in his track. It's got a bit of that plucky sound, but if I just do something like a triangle wave, and then I play around with like a filter or something, like you don't really get that sound. So I wasn't sure like I wasn't sure how to automate it to get it to sound like his track. Or whatever. So I was just like, I was trying to figure out what he meant by the fill parts, because I don't really know if that was the fill he was talking about. Like that little thing. Because if I just do it on the square wave, I think it sounds more like his track. So maybe he was talking about the different parts of the track. So I'll just assume that we'll go with, like, if you want to try and nail that, see if you can figure out if you can get just the triangle wave to do those plucks better. But I think, like, I was just playing around with the square wave, and maybe he processed the triangle wave more. If you add on distortion to a triangle wave, you're going to turn it into essentially a square wave anyway. So we can just do the square wave. I was doing something like, I think I had analog BD sine on here, but he was saying it's just the square wave. So I'll just assume it's the square wave. And voicing is on mono. Here's my envelope 1. This is just, I didn't actually use this. This is just for, I was creating the preset. When I create the preset, I'll probably add in like a knock sound. But here's the envelope 1, has some release on it. And envelope 2 assigned to my MG Low 24 filter, cut off at about 60 hertz, 71% modulation, 1522. Now that sounds like a lot of automation, a lot of modulation. But what I did is, you can see I'm just automating this macro knob because I'm automating the amount of the modulation. And in order to do that, you don't assign this to the cutoff, because if you assign this to the cutoff, then essentially you're raising up that cutoff when you automate it, and you can hear that the release is a bit too high. So what I did is went into the matrix, and then I just automated the, I went here, just assigned this to the aux source. So now I'm just automating this modulation. And then I also did something too, where I wanted, because I wanted this to be at 0. So at 0, the custom curve, I just put it a little bit higher so it isn't completely all the way down. Otherwise, if this were all the way down, you'd barely be able to hear it. So I wanted it to be at 0, like when you open up the preset, you at least have some of a bass sound there. Otherwise, it would be too filtered. I've been playing around with custom curves a lot more. Now that I didn't really use them too much, but now that in Serum 2, I've been adding like 8 macro knobs for all these presets. I'm having to come up with a lot of ideas because I'm filling all these out. And a lot of times I want things where you can just do like I just showed you, or maybe have a A and B, like switch 1 to B and then do the custom curve, something like I've been doing something like this. So you have not a gradual increase of whatever the effect is, but it switches over to whatever the effect is. So that's what the custom curves are. Play around with those. If you haven't, I've been doing that a lot more, and it's actually been helping me come up with ideas on how to make these presets. But that's just like a sidebar, not really related to this too much. So then I just went into the effects and I added on just a bit of EQ to make it beefier, and then went into this cutoff macro knob, went to my Serum, and then put in these automations. And then, of course, got the kickstart on there. Pretty heavy compression on there, or kickstart, sidechaining compression, or volume. This is a volume LFO, essentially, at 100%. And let me see. Let's see. I got this other one that I was trying with this triangle wave. So it's similar. It's kind of there, but I mean, I guess I just have to tweak it a bit more. That's with the triangle wave version. So if that is what he did, then I don't know the exact processing he did, but like honestly, this is way simpler just to do on this one track, and I think it sounds pretty close to what he did. So I will put these sounds into my Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. And if you'd like to check out any of my Serum preset packs, head on over to store.samsmyers.com.